souls near and far, family and friends and strangers, show us who we are. Therefore let us make thanksgiving, and with justice willing and aware, give to earth and all things living liturgies of care. Let us be a house of welcome, living stone upholding living stone, gladly showing all our neighbors we are not our own.
Good morning, and welcome to this online service of Neshoba Unitarian Universalist Church in Cordova, Tennessee. I am the Reverend Beth Lefever, pleased and privileged as always to serve as the minister of this congregation, and I am so very glad that you have joined with us this morning. Our opening words are by Peter Mayer from the hymn. Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. In this spirit, let us be together in worship. And now our Building and Grounds Chair, Walt Holmes, will light our chalice.
We ignite the flame of the chalice in the light of truth and understanding, the warmth of community and love, and the fire of passion and commitment. Please join now in the affirmation of covenant. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
Hi, it's April, Poetry Month. And today I want to share a couple of poets with you who wrote especially for children. The first one is a well-known, important Unitarian poet. Her name was Laura E. Richards. And her most famous poem is called Telephony. Yeah. Now, to understand this poem, you have to know that old-time telephones all had cords. Hello? There's no one there. So, Telephony by Laura E. Richards. Once there was an elephant who tried to use the telephone. Oh no, I mean an elephone who tried to use the telephone. Dear me, I'm not certain quite that even now I've got it right. Howe'er it was, he got his trunk entangled in the telephone. The more he tried to get it free, the louder buzzed the telephone. I think I'll have to drop this song of Ella Hop and Telephone. Well, she wrote another poem that fits with April rainy days called The Umbrella Brigade. Now, that first poem was kind of nonsense. In fact, Laura Richards was even called the Queen of Nonsense. But this poem is lighthearted, but it isn't silly, and it uses real words, but it uses them in a way that you can describe the rain and the puddles. Listen to how she does it. The Umbrella Brigade by Laura E. Richards. Pitter-patter falls the rain on the schoolroom window pane. Such a splashing, such a dashing, will it e'er be dry again? Down the gutter rolls a flood, and the crossings deep in mud. And the puddles, oh, the puddles are a sight to stir one's blood. But let it rain, tree toads and frogs, muskets and pitchforks, kittens and dogs. Dash away, plash away, who's afraid? Here we go, the Umbrella Brigade. Pull the boots up the knee, tie the hoods on merrily. Such a hustling, such a jostling, out of breath with fun are we. Clatter, clatter down the street, greeting everyone we meet with our laughing and our chaffing, which the laughing drops repeat. But let it rain, tree toads and frogs, muskets and pitchforks, kittens and dogs. Dash away, plash away, who's afraid? Here we go, the Umbrella Brigade. Now this other poet, is much more serious. And I want to read a poem, well, a couple of poems from Honey I Love by Eloise Greenfield. She's an African-American poet. And one of her most famous poems is about an African-American hero that you've probably heard of, Harriet Tubman. Now, you know, Harriet Tubman was born into slavery, but she escaped to the North. And then even when she was safe, she went back and got more people out of slavery, even though it was really dangerous to go back there. Harriet Tubman by Eloise Greenfield. Harriet Tubman didn't take no stuff. Wasn't scared of nothing neither. Didn't come in this world to be no slave, and wasn't gonna stay one either. Farewell, she sang to her friends one night. She was mighty sad to leave 'em, but she ran away that dark, hot night, ran looking for her freedom. She ran to the woods, and she ran through the woods with the slave catchers right behind her. And she kept on going till she got to the North where those mean men couldn't find her. 19 times she went back south to get 300 others. She ran for her freedom 19 times to save black sisters and brothers. Harriet Tubman didn't take no stuff. She wasn't scared of nothing neither. Didn't come in this world to be no slave, and didn't stay one either. And didn't stay one either. Now that's 3 very different poems. I mean, silly and lighthearted and fierce. And this last poem kind of brings it all together and talking about poetry. I think it's an especially good one for Poetry Month. It's called Things by Eloise Greenfield. Went to the corner, walked in the store, bought me some candy. Ain't got it no more. Ain't got it no more. Went to the beach, played on the shore, made me a sand house. Ain't got it no more. Ain't got it no more. Went to the kitchen, lay down on the floor, made me a poem. Still got it. Still got it. Now I'm hoping that you'll celebrate this Poetry Month with me. There are lots of good poems out there waiting for you to read them. and there are lots of good poems waiting for you to write them.
If you love this church, please support it. It frankly and simply cannot exist without you. If you just sort of like this church, please support it. If you do, it will be here for you on those occasions when you feel like you'd like to join in, or when you need us for a memorial service or a wedding or some other occasion. If you're kind of neutral about this church, but appreciate the fact that it's a part of the liberal religious voice of reason, helping to provide justice and religious balance in this country, please, please support it. We need you. Our morning offering will now be shared. My first reading is from the History website. Elected to the U.S. Senate in 1962, Senator Gaylord Nelson, a Democrat from Wisconsin, was determined to convince the federal government that the planet was at risk. In 1969, Nelson, who was considered one of the modern environmental movement leaders, developed the idea for Earth Day after being inspired by anti-Vietnam War teach-ins that were taking place on college campuses around the United States. According to Nelson, he envisioned a large-scale grassroots environmental demonstration to shake up the political establishment and force this issue onto the national agenda. Nelson announced the Earth Day concept at a conference in Seattle in the fall of 1969 and invited the entire nation to get involved. He later recalled, quote, "The wire services carried the story from coast to coast. The response was electric. It took off like gangbusters. Telegrams, letters, and telephones inquiring, they poured in from all across the country. The American people finally had a forum to express its concern about what was happening to the land, rivers, lakes, and air. And they did so with spectacular exuberance. End quote. My second reading is by author and conservationist Rachel Carson from her book, Silent Spring. Those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find reserves of strength that will endure as long as life lasts. There is something infinitely healing in the repeated refrains of nature, the assurance that dawn comes after night and spring after winter. And finally, by Jane Goodall, anthropologist and primatologist. The tree I had in the garden as a child, my beech tree, I used to climb up there and spend hours. I took my homework up there, my books. I went up there if I was sad, and it just felt very good to be up there among the green leaves and the birds and the sky. Here end our readings. Seeking Justice, Hear Our Cry was the name of the Good Friday prayer vigil at the I Am a Man Plaza next to Claiborne Temple on Hernando Street several weeks ago. Just a note about the location. The plaza was created to honor the striking sanitation workers in Memphis in 1968, and Claiborne Temple was a major gathering place for those sanitation workers. The Good Friday Prayer Vigil was a MICA event. MICA, the Interfaith Community Organizing Group fighting for social justice and equity on a number of fronts here in Memphis and Shelby County. Neshoba was one of the first organizations to join MICA, and we have been active in it from the very beginning, a fact about which I am both proud and grateful. As I listened to the speakers at this event, clergy representing the Christian, Jewish, and Muslim faiths, and speaking and praying with powerful, moving passion and fervor, I wondered just how I would format a prayer that would speak as powerfully to the diverse religions represented there. This is not to say that I have not been invited to speak at MICA events. I have, but not at specifically prayer events. I pondered this for some time while still at the vigil and then afterwards. I believe I feel as spiritually powerful as those of other faiths, but it is a different kind of spirituality, and my prayer would be quite different from those that were being offered. Would my kind of prayer at this kind of event move people as did the prayers that were being spoken? How could I be true to my faith and yet somehow reach and move folks with my prayer? Then suddenly I knew while still at the vigil. We were already standing socially distanced, more or less, and the plaza was filled with soft grass. I would ask everyone to spread out a little farther and lie face down in the soft, sun-warmed grass, pressing their hearts into the thrum and throb of the earth's own pulsing beat of life. Now don't be alarmed. I wouldn't force the issue, knowing many, if not most, people would be a little bit uncomfortable lying down in the grass at such an event. So I would suggest that those who would prefer just sit in the grass or stand, as they were already doing, but giving studied attention to their feet, pressing into the ground, pressing into the gift of grass the earth has provided, pressing into the land that so many feet have stood upon or walked across before, the land that holds our history. It is sacred space, the land across which so many have passed through the years, the decades, and beyond. It is sacred space, the land upon which knees were skinned, grass stains sustained, relationships deepened, plans made, laughter rang out, tears were shed, strategies were shaped, ideas pondered. It is sacred space, the land that holds us up as we travel across or pause upon it while going about the living of our lives. Once I came upon the idea, I was satisfied with it and then further moved and content at the thought, calm and at peace. I myself don't often lie face down in the grass, although I certainly did as a child. But, and maybe this is because I did do it as a child, I was easily able to imagine the experience. I was easily able to imagine being one with the earth in just such a way. I was easily able to imagine the silent communion between myself and the earth, myself and the world. I could smell the earth, the grass, the scented air surrounding me. I could feel the tickle of the occasionally taller weed brushing against my arm or my face. I could hear the impossibly silent movement of tiny insects sharing the earth with me. But mostly, I could feel my own profound and singular, yet utterly ununique relationship with the earth. And I could feel the earth's depths, its sanctuary, its heart, its very real relationship with me. Now I can sense a few of you rolling your eyes as I wax poetic about the profundities of the earth and its relationship to us. But in fact, there are few among us who don't glory at earth's gifts, its infinite nature, its mystery. I have dipped my toe in at several different religious traditions through the years, but nowhere have I been moved so profoundly, spiritually, as I am in contemplating and communing with the majesty of nature. I am not a pagan, because that is a bit too structured as a spiritual practice for me. Religiously, I define myself as a humanist because I believe the human journey is a sacred journey. And I sometimes define myself as a follower of Jesus because both the man and his teachings were profound. But it is in nature that I most strongly feel in touch with the infinite. It is in nature that I am most spiritually alive, where my love for all things and all people expands and expands and expands without limit. It is nature where I feel most deeply at peace. And I so very much want to protect nature, to save our earth and all of its furry, feathery, scaly, peoply inhabitants. And however much or little you enjoy nature, and I'm guessing it's more rather than less, you have a high stake in saving the world as well. Because, well, if the earth succumbs to humanity's greed, gluttony, and carelessness, we will all perish. It's as simple as that. I am not going to go into the dire state of the world. It is in the news relatively constantly. and we feel its effects in rising temperatures, the more frequent and deadly storms, longer droughts with resulting wildfires, melting ice caps, and rising sea levels, and on and on. We know what is happening. We cannot escape that knowledge. And we know quite a bit about how to slow or halt the habits and behaviors that contribute to what I will dramatically call Earth's destruction. What seems harder for us is to get everyone on board, to bring everyone together, to bring all of the countless tribes across the globe who depend on the world for basic continued existence. What is hard is to get everyone working together to save our planet. Our interests, our resources, our needs even, are so varied and sometimes at odds that it is hard to come together. But it is essential that we do. Earth Day contributes to that cause. Approximately 1 billion people in more than 190 countries engage in Earth Day efforts and observances, and that is significant. It is hopeful. But here's the thing. We cannot get tired. Exhaustion is one of the biggest hindrances to good works of all kinds, and in so very many cases, and certainly in the case of rescuing the planet, we cannot afford exhaustion. So on this Earth Day, coming up Thursday, make a pact with yourself, a friend, your family, your community. Make a pact that you will honor the earth by working for the earth. Promise yourself that you will be more intentional about noticing and relishing the gifts of the earth, even if it's as simple as being refreshed by a glass of cool water and appreciating that just for a moment. Start or join an effort to use less water, to adjust the heat or air conditioning to a degree or two past comfortable, to share rides, or just to take a bag along with you when you go for a walk, to pick up litter along the way. They don't have to be monumental tasks, although they can, but all of us doing our own small bit will help a lot. Let's each of us become habitual about doing our own small bit. As novelist and activist Alice Walker wrote, I had assumed that the earth, the spirit of the earth, noticed exceptions, those who wantonly damaged it or those who did not. But the earth is wise. It has given itself into the keeping of us all, and all are therefore accountable. Amen. And now let us move into a time of meditation, reflection, and prayer, using the words of Buddhist monk and activist Thich Nhat Hanh. Waking up this morning, I see the blue sky. I join my hands in thanks for the many wonders of life, for having 24 brand new hours. The sun is rising on the forest, and so is my awareness. I walk across the field of sunflowers, tens of thousands of flowers waving at me. My awareness is like the sunflower. My hands are sowing seeds for the next harvest. My ear is hearing the sound of the rising tide, on the magnificent sky. I see clouds approaching with joy from many directions. I can see the fragrant lotus ponds of my homeland. I can see coconut trees along the rivers. I can see rice fields stretching their shoulders, laughing at the sun and the rain. Mother Earth gives me coriander, basilicum, and celery. Tomorrow, the hills and mountains of the country will be green again. Tomorrow, the buds of life will grow quickly. The folk poetry will be as sweet as the songs of the children. The whole family of humans will sing together with me in my work. Amen. Happy Earth Day. And until next week, blessed, blessed be.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue